guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I kind of have a little bit of a different video for you guys. Of course, it's not my typical makeup tutorials or anything, but I figured that this was a good chance to kind of film something different because recently, actually about a week ago, our Kitchenaid machine stopped working. Basically, when I went to mix, I was making dough, the mixer just kind of froze and it just stopped working. It pretty much wouldn't mix anything anymore. So it was kind of like skipping in a way, and it was really weird, and I was like so upset because during these quarantine times, we've been doing a lot of baking. I live with my sister Lisa, so between the both of us, we are cooking and baking all the time. So I'm like, oh my god, now we're gonna have to buy another Kitchenaid mixer. And if you guys know about Kitchenaid, they're very expensive, the stand mixers. They're like $600 plus sometimes. So it's just kind of crazy, and the last thing we wanted to do was buy another one. So luckily I have a handy boyfriend, and he pretty much took the machine apart and figured out what was the problem. So basically we had to just order this one piece. It's called the worm gear, and I'll show you guys everything in depth when we fix this. So I just want to kind of show you guys how to fix your Kitchenaid mixer if you have the same problem, if it's fixable, because this is actually a very common problem. So this will definitely help you guys out so much. It'll save you guys a lot of money. So if you guys want to see how we fix this mixer and saved a lot of money doing it, and it's pretty simple, then keep on watching and you guys will see a step-by-step tutorial on how to do that. So this is ours with the metal bowl. It's the Deluxe 5 edition, but pretty much with all Kitchenaids, they're built the same, so you don't have to worry if you have a different model. So what we're going to do is show you how to open this. I took the bowl off of the machine, so now I can show you guys. My boyfriend's gonna open up the Kitchenaid. Okay, so my boyfriend decided to put on some gloves. You will be dealing with the grease that's inside, so that's just a side note. And you're gonna first start by unscrewing this piece in the back, and this is like a typical star screw. And he's using a fancy machine here to remove it, but you can just use any kind of tool that you have, any screwdriver.
Pretty fancy.
So as you can see, you're just gonna have this metal piece here that's just gonna come apart quite easily, but it will be put back together, so don't worry. So we're just gonna take that off. You can see that is just the piece there. And there's also screws on the side as well. All along the side, you can see there's 4 more screws. So just make sure you remember where the screws went. This little one was one in the very back, and then you have the 4 longer ones that were on the side. So just keep a mental note of that. Even take pictures if you really want to make sure. Okay, so now you just lift the top. It should come off quite easily. That is the top piece, and you can see the inside. Okay, so there's another screw there that we just undid. That's for the control. And then there's more screws here. There's another screw over there because you want to remove this piece. So you want to get it out of the way.
I labeled these myself so I know which way they go. 1, 2, 3, 4 in that order. Okay, so that's a smart move. He just did little dots to make sure you remember which ones go first. Okay, so you don't need to take them all off. You can just take off even one just to make sure it's out of the way. And then we're removing the rest of those screws. Okay, so these 4 screws, part of this piece here, are not all the same size, so we're just going to use a separate bowl just to separate them so we don't get confused. Okay, so as you can see, when you lift that piece off, these are all of the gears, and we kind of had to figure out ourselves what went wrong. So we saw that there was, at this bottom one here, which is called the worm gear, this one at the bottom. I'll show you it better after, but you can see that it was, a few of them were worn down, so that's the piece that we had to order. So he's just gonna take it apart, and as you can see, there is a lot of grease in there. So we actually have another grease that I'll talk to you about in a little bit to replace. This piece has been removed there.
So we just remove that piece over there, you just lift it up. So you're gonna need specific ring clip pliers that I'm gonna show you, because you're gonna need to take off this piece with this specific plier. Yeah, you will not be able to take this off without the proper tool. Okay, let's show them the tool. So as you can see, it looks like that. And there's 2 little needle points there. As you can see, we will need to use those specific parts to take off this piece. As you can see, he's sticking that wrench into those 2 holes there, because you will not be able to take it out if you don't have the specific tool. I can link where you will find it in the description box down below. Yeah, you'll definitely need patience. It's a little bit hard to work with, but as you can see, we're just slowly lifting that piece up. Okay, so once you have this metal piece, you're gonna lift it all the way up, and then this part down here is gonna drop, so just make sure you're holding it and just take off. You're gonna slide off this metal piece.
Okay.
There we go. Okay, so that piece was just taken off. So as you can see, you're just left with this piece at the bottom. And this is the piece that we are gonna be replacing. There's a pin that you slide out. Okay, so once
this comes off, this will drop. So
once that piece that we're replacing comes off, which is the bottom piece, this whole mechanism at the bottom is gonna drop, so make sure you just put that aside. So this is the piece that I bought online. I can link you guys the website that I got it from. It's a Whirlpool part, and as you can see, it's called the worm gear, and that is the piece that I'm gonna show you guys what happened. So you guys can really see how worn out those teeth were in comparison. There's grease in there, but you can still kind of see how concave those teeth became, and that is a big problem because your machine will not work. As I said, mine was skipping. It was okay when there was no pressure. Once I actually had product into the Kitchenaid and I needed strength to mix the product together, it was just not working and it was just stopping every time. So that was definitely the problem. These little teeth here were just worn out, as me and my sister really do bake a lot. So this is the new worm gear. As you can see, all the teeth are nice and strong and not flattened down like the other one. So very inexpensive part, fairly easy to fix as I'm showing you guys. So let's cross our fingers and hope that this will do the job. So now we're just cleaning up the grease, and the grease part is actually super important because that is what lubes up all the pieces.
The lubricant makes them last longer.
Yeah, the lubricant will definitely make all your gears last longer, and you will not hopefully encounter the problem that we had. So as you can see, this is the new gear, and we want to make sure everything is nice and lubed up, and that old grease is all worn out. We have had this machine for like 5 years, so my boyfriend actually had this lying around, which is exactly what we needed. So this is synthetic grease, and it is food grade. It's odorless, it has no bad chemicals, and that is super important because you're using this machine, and just in case any of the grease kind of comes through when you're cooking, even though it won't, but just in case, you want to make sure that you guys have a food grade synthetic grease. So very important. It's a little bit more pricey, but it is essential. So that is USDA authorized, rated H1, so that is what you will need. We're just kind of cleaning out all that old grease. As you can see, it's very old and kind of gross at this point. So we are greasing that piece, as you can see, and we're making sure to lube up everything nicely. This will really just make sure that everything will go smoothly and your machine will be working at its optimal level. So now we're just sliding in that worm gear. This is the new piece that we just got. Okay.
Because it's new.
Yeah. And now that is that little screw that we took out before. As you can see, you just slide that back in.
See those little indentations?
Okay.
Has to line up.
So the screw has to line up in those little indentations.
What keeps this in place, or else this just comes out and in.
Oh, okay.
So you have to put it flush.
So you should just feel when it kind of locks into place. As you saw, the screw has to be flush with the other piece, and it should fit nicely, kind of like a puzzle. Now we're going to finish that off by greasing it even more and just making sure everything is nicely lubricated. So now you're going to place that piece into that socket there. It should just slide in nicely. Now we're just kind of filling in any nooks and crannies with some more grease just to really make sure it stays lubricated. Even adding some into this little piece here where we took out the old grease. So before you close it, make sure you stick that little screw on that we took off in the beginning. That's the piece that we just slid up, and that's what made everything stay in place. So definitely don't forget about that piece, it's very important. There we go. So that piece is just sliding down. It might take a little bit more work, but as you can see, it just snaps into place. Okay, so now we're just gonna snap that piece right into place. It should be fairly simple. And then we're gonna make sure that we place all the correct screws back in and make sure it's all nice and fastened.
On the drill so you don't strip the...
So those are the 4 screws that were a little different than the ones from the outer shell, so we just kept those in a different bowl. So my boyfriend is making sure that he set the torque
low on his power tool so you don't ruin your screws and strip them. Is that the right terminology?
Yeah.
So those are the 4 screws, as you can see. So you want to make sure that once the screws are in, they're nice and tight, and we're just kind of wiping things down a little bit before we close this up. So we're just plugging in that piece back in, just a couple of them that we took out. As I said, make sure you number them so you know which piece goes where. Then you just kind of stick that in the side there. So we're just gonna place those 2 screws back in, just to make sure this piece is back tightly inside. Okay, we're just making sure it all works. It slides. This is the button for the velocity. As you guys know, you want to make sure that it's back in place. And then we're going to place the lid on. We still have 5 more screws that we need to place back in. So we're going to start with the ones on the side. And the final step is putting this little metal piece around. You have that last little baby screw that we're just gonna fasten everything tightly in.
So guys, stay safe. Thank you so much for all of your love and support on my channel. All of your comments are so sweet. They're amazing. They honestly make my day. So thank you guys so much. Let me know if you guys want to see more of these kind of vlog style videos that I can do during the quarantine. So if you guys liked it, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.
You're the best. Thank you.